You're watching Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney, Southwest Florida's retirement television. He's an author, a radio host, a fiduciary, and Southwest Florida's premier investment advisor. Here is Senior Investment Advisor Eric Kearney.
Welcome to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. My name is 𝗵𝗲 𝗵𝗃𝘁𝘁𝗲, joined today by Eric Kearney and Joseph Lanza of Retirement Wealth Advisors. To our viewers at home, we have a very special show for you today. We're going to talk about the Portfolio Blueprint Report. What is that exactly? Well, you're going to want to listen to what Eric and Joseph have to say. It's very important for you. Eric, how are you today?
Good morning, 𝗵𝗲. I'm great, thank you.
Me too. I'm doing wonderfully well. I love being in the studio with both of you. And Joseph, how are you?
I love being in the studio with you too, 𝗵𝗲.
Yay, good. We're going to have a great show today. It's exciting. I think the Blueprint Report is something that we need to talk about because obviously, Eric, you've been in the business for 24 years now, and you still run this report for every single client that comes into your office. Let's talk about why is it so important to have this blueprint done?
Yeah, so I think what we're really trying to do is we're trying to get people reacquainted with their finances. And really, when you take a look at the portfolio, a better performing, a better rate of return is actually catapulting you into a better financial position. So a lot of times it's the portfolio that we're taking a look at first, and it kind of understands where you're coming from too. So a lot of times somebody will say, Eric, I have a lot of questions about my portfolio. I see friends doing different things. My coworkers are doing different things. I don't think my portfolio is doing as well as it should be. This is where the personal financial blueprint comes in. We're sitting down with you. We're actually importing your exact portfolio into here. And now all of a sudden, again, we want to get you reacquainted with your money. And there's so many things that we're actually covering in that blueprint.
So basically what you're doing is uncovering some strengths and weaknesses within the portfolio. How does that help put your clients in a more proactive, protective place, if you will?
Right. So the strengths and the weaknesses are just a part of it. So what we're doing is we're saying, look, here's what's good about the portfolio, and maybe these aren't so good over here. And again, it's not a scare tactic at all. When this is your exact portfolio, the nice thing about this portfolio is if it starts off strong, it will prove to you throughout the personal financial blueprint why your portfolio is good. Conversely, if it doesn't start off so strong, it will also prove why it's not doing so well. So strengths and weaknesses are very important, but what we're really taking a look at is the entire portfolio. So there's so many other things that we're also taking a look at as well.
Thank you, Eric. Joseph, you and Eric have actually worked together now for about 8 years, and everyone talks about diversification in their portfolio and, of course, the importance of it. What can the report tell us about that?
Yeah, we know diversification is so important because people don't want those big fluctuations in their account as they get older and get through retirement. And proper diversification can actually reduce your overall risk and volatility that you have in there. And what that proper diversification is you're making sure that each of those investment positions are not moving in the same direction at the same time. It's like that old saying, you don't want all your eggs in one basket. And this portfolio blueprint report can do a very good job of unveiling every investment that you own, exactly how it's interacting with each other. So you can see how diversified you really are, because there's a lot of people who think they're diversified, but they really have duplication. Just because you have a lot of positions in your portfolio doesn't mean that you're properly diversified. And it's very important in retirement when you're pulling income out of your portfolio that you are diversified. Because if we go through a downturn in the market and you're not diversified, you might have to be forced to sell off of an investment while it's low, which can hinder the future growth of your portfolio, which again is never a good thing.
Interesting, Joseph. So you mentioned a lot of people think they're diversified until they come in and they sit with you and you do the x-ray. Do people sometimes realize like, oh my gosh, I thought I had all of these different investments, but really I have like 700 mutual funds going on?
Right, yeah. A lot of times we've seen before where people have, 25, 30 mutual funds. And when we do a really big intersection, a stock intersection is what we call it in this report, where we can see exactly what are the individual stocks that you truly own inside of these mutual funds. The top 10 holdings are almost all the same in those mutual funds.
Wow.
There's no diversification. It's just duplication. It's almost like an illusion. You see a lot of different mutual funds, but really you're investing in all the same thing.
Eric, can you tell me, have you had someone come in recently and you and Joseph have done this portfolio blueprint and someone has been so surprised by the results because they had no idea?
Yeah, so a lot of times people will come in, we go over the report with them. And we're very honest about this. So when somebody comes in, again, we're explaining to them that, again, this is your very own portfolio. This is your actual holdings. And sometimes they sit back in the seat and they're like, I need to make a change. And I'll agree with them. I'm like, look, we just need to make some simple tweaks, but it's going to make a massive difference over time. The biggest thing about this is that when we have done this for a client in the past, they get done, and one of the first things that they'll tell us is, okay, Eric, you did this for me. If anyone else is in my same situation, I'd like you to have them call me and I will tell them what you did for me. All these clients become our very best advocates because this is something that they've never had before. We want to show them something that they've never seen before. So a lot of times what we're doing is something like financial triage, and we're really showing them what is wrong and what has to be taken care of up front.
So basically, if someone is taking way too much risk, this will help alleviate that, especially when you're in the retirement years, I'm assuming.
Right. So it's showing you layers. So it's showing you your risk, your volatility, your positions, how much you're over-correlated in, which means maybe you own too much of this investment. Maybe you don't have enough of a rate of return to push through inflation, to push through interest rate changes, to push through market volatility. And so a lot of times what we're looking for is we're explaining why it's not working. And, you know, a lot of people think about the holidays and they think about dinner parties. And I always think about a trifle. If you've seen that trifle dessert that people have, it's pretty amazing. And what it is it's multiple layers of all that dessert. It's a lot like your portfolio, actually. So I can imagine somebody going and saying, hey, I haven't used this trifle dish in 3 years. I think that's what it is. They get used once every 36 months, right?
Probably.
Yeah. And they reach up and there's two people that have to get down this trifle dish, right? And then they're like, oh, thanks for helping me get it down. And they're walking over. And for this dinner party, they're layering all these different things in there, right? And it's actually a work of art. Your portfolio is kind of the same thing, right? You look at it and you want to see the layers that are intentionally built in there. You want to see that there's action, that there's some kind of effort being built into that portfolio, just like that beautiful trifle dish. So there is a lot, there is an art form about building a portfolio. And that is literally why at our firm, we have a portfolio management team, we have a financial planning department, and we also have a concierge service side so that we know that the client is being covered in all of those different areas.
Well, Eric, I know that you have a very special message to the viewers at home from you and Joseph. Can we talk about what that is before we take our first commercial break?
Yeah, absolutely, Cynthia. So if you have questions about your portfolio, you're looking to get a personal financial blueprint done, go to myIncomePlan.com, download your very own retirement income guide, and then give us a call, set an appointment. We'll do a personal financial blueprint for you. It is yours to keep. You walk out of the office with it and no obligation whatsoever. So give us a call at 1-800-779-1942.
Eric, thank you so much. Joseph, thank you so much. I happen to have a copy of one right here. Imagine that. To our viewers at home, the number to call is 1-800-779-1942. We know that you have a lot of questions for Eric and Joseph about how to plan your perfect retirement. Are you in the right position right now to retire? You deserve it to yourself to go ahead and call in 1-800-779-1942 and also go to myIncomePlan.com. You can download, obviously, your complete guide to the retirement income. You want to have peace of mind in the retirement years. It's very important to know that everything that you've worked so hard for can be preserved. Just call in today, 1-800-779-1942. Or if you're rushing out the door and you don't have a pen handy, you can grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to the landing page for Retirement Wealth Advisors. You can claim a spot with Eric and Joseph accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. We'll be right back momentarily. Stay tuned.
And we are back today with Donna Crone, Certified Financial Planner of Retirement Wealth Advisors. And today, Donna, we're going to answer the big question, how do I know I can retire?
Yes, and through the financial planning process, Eric, we can and we do answer that question for our clients. But it's also the opportunity for us to introduce the concept of retirement readiness. Retirement is a transition, not just impacting your money, having enough assets to retire or to live out your lifestyle, but it also has an impact on a physical, emotional, and mental plane. And that's the piece that a lot of people maybe blow off or don't quite understand.
Right.
But the approach that we use in our firm is holistic. So we really encompass all of those areas, not just relying on the good, sound financial planning principles. We rely on behavioral finance to help guide our clients through these less quantifiable issues that may be coming up as they approach and move into retirement.
Sometimes people don't realize how deep and involved a financial plan gets. You know, we have to realize that we're leaving the workforce, going into retirement, and there are a lot of unknowns. So we end up having a lot of questions. So I love the retirement readiness. So what we're doing is we're getting you prepared and ready for that retirement. But it also blows me away, again, how many people don't have that financial plan, but don't have that process. So Donna, thank you so much. We always appreciate your expertise. We're very grateful to have Donna Crone, certified financial planner, who heads up our financial planning department, who also does tax planning, income planning. We're heading up the portfolio management team, and then of course our concierge service. So again, if you're looking for those services, please give us a call today. Otherwise, Cynthia, back to you.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. My name is Cynthia 𝗵𝗲𝘁𝘁𝗶𝘁, joined today by Eric Kearney and Joseph Lanza of Retirement Wealth Advisors. We're talking all about the Portfolio Blueprint Report and why this is important to your overall retirement years. Eric, I have a question for you. When you're taking a deep dive, are investors really wanting more information about their existing portfolio, or are they too afraid to know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid to know. The one thing is that people will say, Eric, I wish that we called you guys 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and they've been watching the show for quite some time, but there's something there that's holding them back. And I'm still not sure what it is, but I think that there's a lot of people who have been listening to our radio show, watching the TV show. We get a lot of positive feedback when Joseph and I are out in public about the show. And the one thing is that people will admit, I'm being held back by calling you. Some people really don't want to know what their situation is, but then you get to a certain point and you're like, I can't put this off anymore. And, unfortunately, it's no different than the dentist, right? You really wait till you can't take your tooth anymore hurting before you call the dentist, right?
That's true.
The one thing is about your finances is this is funding your lifestyle. If you want to live your life and you want to go on vacations and you want to retire, you want to spend time with your family, no matter what it is, your portfolio is fueling your lifestyle. So don't put this off anymore. Again, it's just a simple conversation, but get that started. And then we're doing all the heavy lifting. That's the one thing I want people to know is there's so many things that are going on behind the scenes when we're getting in preparation for a client. And so when the client sees everything that's out there, they're actually amazed. And a lot of times we hear, I've never seen all this stuff before. I've known more about my portfolio in the last 30 minutes than I have for the last 10 years.
Wow, that's incredible. People must be completely overwhelmed by the information that you share with them.
I think so, but in a good way.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's where we kind of have to back off a little bit too. And I'm like, okay, it's like drinking from a fire hose, right? We gave you a lot of information today. Go home, think about it. But I'm going to be honest with you. There are other people that I sit there and they say, well, we're going to think about it. And sometimes, Cynthia, this is something I'll say on TV, but I would never say to them. When we show them that we can more than likely improve their situation a lot, I don't know what there is to think about.
True.
And we've seen so many people where when we do the personal financial blueprint, I just want to get my hands on their portfolio and fix it. Joseph feels the same way. When we get done with a meeting, we're like, oh my gosh, this is such a simple, easy fix. But for some people, emotionally, it's a very hard thing to do. And that's kind of hard to change someone's mental trajectory sometimes.
Sure, that makes sense. Joseph, I want to actually ask you a little bit about market volatility, especially for retirees, because they are much more sensitive to this. So how do we control that in investments, if you will?
Yeah, so when we run this report for individuals, we're looking at their standard deviation, which is kind of the #1 reading for volatility and risk or overall in your portfolio. When we look at that number in this blueprint, we're comparing it to an appropriate benchmark for you. So we can see, are you taking on more risk, more volatility, or less risk, less volatility. And then we're actually able to compare that to a number of where should you be for your exact situation? How much risk and volatility should you really be taking based off of what you want out of retirement? And a lot of times what people find is they may be taking on much more risk and volatility than they need to be for retirement. And what does that risk and volatility lead you to do? A lot of times it leads you to make poor decisions. It leads you to make irrational decisions that we know we do not want to be making in our investments in retirement. We want to be focusing on the facts and data to drive all those decisions in retirement.
Joseph, thank you so much. Because the one thing that people don't have as much of in retirement is time.
That's right.
When you're younger, you can take risks, you can withstand market volatility, but not when you're approaching retirement, and certainly not when you're in retirement. It's definitely more scary.
That's right, yeah. And you'd also want to make sure that you're getting rewarded for that risk, which I know we're going to talk about in a little bit as well.
We sure are. I love that, Joseph. Thank you. Eric, now what about helping clients understand more about income options? That must be incredibly helpful because everyone is concerned about income in retirement because income determines your outcome, correct?
That is correct. I mean, and honestly, again, that is what is propelling us to pay for our bills. But also look at healthcare, look at long-term care. These are things that come out of left field. So along with regular income, just to pay your HUG money, that's housing, utilities, gas, groceries, that is your day-to-day monetary needs. But then on top of that, we have travel, we have healthcare, which gets to be very expensive. There's a lot of things that are not covered by Medicare. So these are the things that we really have to prepare for. And this is where the income plan comes into play. And this is the one thing at Retirement Wealth Advisors, you have a lot more value than other advisors. You are receiving a tax plan. You are receiving an income plan. You are receiving a financial plan. You are working with a certified financial planner. You are working with a team of money managers. You have a concierge service. There's a lot of people who are concerned about their tax situation. So how we've remedied that is you can actually go to rwataxtest.com. That's rwataxtest.com, and you can actually plug in your own numbers and see what your own situation is.
And Eric, I want to also ask you a question, please, about duplication versus diversification. Why does that matter? Duplication versus diversification.
Right. A lot of times people, it's kind of like what Joseph had said earlier. You think that you actually have diversified asset classes, but you really don't. So if you really are in one area, now all of a sudden maybe healthcare is good or gold is good or small caps are good. And you're like, I don't have any exposure to that. If you have a true asset allocation, your portfolio is more relevant to what's going on and you're capturing more gains. And what a lot of people see is that they have more duplication or their portfolio is incredibly outdated and it's just not performing very well. The one thing that we pay attention to is alpha. Alpha very simply is the horsepower in your portfolio. And a lot of times, if you've ever flown in a small plane and you get into rough and turbulent air, the plane gets thrown around a lot. So it doesn't have any power to push through that air. Now, conversely, if you're in a 757 or a 777, now all of a sudden that big plane has a lot of horsepower. And the captain will come on and he'll say, hey, we've got turbulent air. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go above it, below it, around it. They've got the horsepower to push through. You want alpha or horsepower in your portfolio to be able to push through the difficult times. This is the difference between a money manager and a licensed financial advisor who is just selling you products. Makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And on that note, Eric, you and Joseph have a very special message to the viewers at home today. Spend a little bit of time talking about what that is before we take our next commercial break, please.
Sure, Cynthia. So everybody out there, thank you so much for watching. If you've been watching the show and you've been procrastinating and you really are looking for that second opinion, pick up the phone today. Call us at 1-800-779-1942 or go on to Retirement Wealth LLC and download your very own retirement income guide. And let's get you started on that financial journey. We do look forward to meeting you.
Eric, thank you so much. Joseph, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 1-800-779-1942. We realize that you're in the viewing audience today and you're asking yourself, do I need the portfolio blueprint done? Is this the first time that I'm hearing something about this? Am I taking too much risk? If you're concerned about your retirement, please don't miss the opportunity to call in today, 1-800-779-1942. Schedule your complimentary consultation with Eric and Joseph. Let them get to know you, what your goals, your dreams, and your hopes are for retirement. And again, you can download a copy of your complete guide to retirement income by visiting the website. We'll be right back momentarily. Don't go anywhere.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams? Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you. Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Eric Kearney and Joseph Lanza of Retirement Wealth Advisors, and we are talking all about your retirement years. Do you need to have a portfolio blueprint report done? Are you taking too much risk? Today's show is just for you. Joseph, I want to ask you a question. Now that we can understand risk and volatility, how does this correlate to the rate of return? Risk and volatility.
Yeah, so the principles of investing tell us that the more risk that we take, the bigger our rate of return should really be over time. But how do we really gauge this in the portfolio? And so we use something called a Sharpe ratio, and this does exactly that. Based on how much risk you've been taking, have you been getting properly rewarded for that risk? So this really helps us determine, do you have efficient investments, or maybe you have toxic investments? Everybody can say this is a good investment, this is a good portfolio, this is a bad portfolio, but what I'm interested in is the why. Why is this not working for you? What is the true workings of your portfolio, and what is going wrong possibly in your portfolio? And this blueprint goes through so many different things that helps us uncover that. And if you have a poor Sharpe ratio, it's kind of like working a really extensive job and you're getting paid below minimum wage. It really doesn't make any sense to do that, right?
That's true.
So if you're going to take the risks in retirement, if you're going to take the risks in investing, you want to make sure that you're getting properly rewarded for those risks that you're taking.
Joseph, thank you. That is so very important. Absolutely. Eric, I also want to ask you a question. Obviously, this is one piece of the retirement puzzle, but what other pieces are there that we should be thinking about?
Right. So a lot of times we're considering financial triage. And financial triage is really pretty cool because actually, if some of the viewers out there and I were working in an emergency room, let's just pretend that all of a sudden 3 ambulances pull up out front. We're going to go out front and we're going to look at ambulance number 1. We're going to take a look at that person in there and see what they need. Then we're going to go to ambulance number 2. We're going to see what they need. And then ambulance number 3. And then at that point, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what needs to be done first. It's the same with your finances. We're taking a look at your portfolio, your income plan, your tax situation, everything that's in there. And we're saying, okay, we're determining this one needs the most work first. So maybe you need to save more. Maybe it's your tax situation. Maybe it's your income plan. But the portfolio blueprint is actually going to excel and help you understand where you are. So we fully believe in financial triage. Let's take care of this one first, and then this one, and then this one. All 3 of those are going to put you on track. But this is, again, where we're collaborating through a team effort, all for the benefit of the client. And so I don't think that there's enough people out there that truly do have a team surrounding them. And the one thing is, I want to thank all my staff because they are tremendous. Our customer service is through the roof. We're returning calls, we're returning emails, we're putting out fires, we're moving money. This is all going on a day-to-day basis. But what we're doing is we're all doing this for the benefit of the client.
And everyone talks about that, the concierge service, if you will. People feel like their needs come first. You put them just in front of everything else, if you will. And that is a huge testimonial. Yeah. It really is.
And the interesting thing about customer service is people are frustrated with customer service. But what I've also learned is the employees for some of these companies are also frustrated because they're kind of overworked. They don't have the time to return all these calls because there's just not enough workers. So the customer service all over is just horrible.
Yes, that's true. Unfortunately, I think since COVID, correct? Yes. Eric, let me ask you, what are some current concerns for clients? I know that obviously people are calling with some questions, concerns. What are you hearing a lot of right now?
Yeah, so this is interesting how issues change over time, right? In financial planning, goals and objectives change. So it used to be right after COVID, everybody wanted to travel, right? And so travel is a really big deal. But then all of a sudden you have healthcare runs where everybody's like, I'm really concerned about healthcare, or something will come out of left field and something will happen to a family member healthcare wise, and it's pretty expensive. But the one thing that we've been concerned about lately is HOA fees.
That is true, because those are going through the roof.
They really are. And, you know, here's the crazy thing. It used to be that you could buy a condo, come down here for 3 or 4 months, and it was pretty affordable. Now, all of a sudden, that's changed. HOA fees are going through the roof. It is a consistent complaint. It is now becoming an objective in the financial plan as well as the income plan. Here's my prediction. Whether we have another hurricane or not over the next 2 to 3 years, on top of our HOA fees, it's also going to be assessments that are going up because a lot of these places have been mismanaged. I'm sorry to say that, but I've been seeing it now for 2 years. When people come in, we are seeing where these facilities that are supposed to be managing this money haven't done such a great job. And so again, we've got to be prepared for our living costs as HOA fees increase, insurance increases. Now all of a sudden we have assessments on top of things. It's not good. So again, this is where we're circling the wagons and really helping that client to determine how they're going to be able to stay there.
Absolutely, because the last thing someone wants to do is say, oh my gosh, I can't stay retired. I need to go back to work.
Right, right.
And that's scary.
It is. I'm sorry, Joseph, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, I think it's the whole point of the financial plan, right? That's why we're so passionate about what we do and putting somebody in a better situation and giving them that ability to see their plan even in real time and be able to say, look, whatever scenario we throw at this, we want to know that you don't ever have to go back to work. You can see all those scenarios, and it gives them that confidence, that peace of mind, that sleepability, as some people might say, where they're not worried about those things because we've put the work in on the front end with that financial plan.
Absolutely, Joseph. Thank you so much. Eric, final words of wisdom to the viewers at home before we close today.
I just want viewers out there to understand how much effort goes into the first few meetings with you. Again, we do a personal financial blueprint. We do a preliminary income plan for you. We're also doing a tax test. So go on to rwataxtest.com and take a look at your situation. But again, we believe in investing in you first before you even have to decide if you want to invest in us. So again, there's a great amount of value. The personal financial blueprint is yours to keep. Give us a call today.
Eric, thank you so much. Joseph, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 1-800-779-1942. We know that you have a lot of questions about how to plan your perfect retirement. Eric and Joseph have the answers for you. Thank you for spending time with us today on Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We look forward to seeing you back 1 week from today. Take care now.
Hey, Southwest Florida, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions after today's show, please give us a call.
Remember, you only retire once. Let's get it right the first time. Have a great week and an even better retirement.